Very live.
Can you see a chat room thingy in there?
The chat, yeah.
I told Dr. Moore he's been watching.
Sure.
And I told him if he had a question he could type it in there.
Okay.
Instead he sent me like 10 emails. But Dr. Moore, if you're watching, type in the chat room. Okay. So, how's everyone?
Yay!
Good? Okay. If you put Nyingpo's cat in a box, what happens?
Reads a book? Oh, sorry. Was that too early for the book?
Too early to plug the book. We gotta build it up first.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I thought today to make it, again, not philosophical, we'd start off with something practical, yeah, and useful. Because, again, my running thesis is that you need logic. It's important for you. And what's the one that I always use first? Consider
Money.
money.
I'm gonna get it because I work hard.
Yeah. So that's my favorite one. And if you teach or use logic with somebody else, I always like to start with that one.
I noticed you started with it in your book.
I did. Thank you for noticing. Because I think that really makes sense to most people. You know, we were all brought up thinking if I work hard, I'll get what I want. And it's just not true. So that's a good one, I think, to start with, because then it gives people space. If you give people that one, then they think, okay, maybe I don't know everything. You know, and maybe there is something I can learn here. You know, it makes like a window. You know, what's the Kung Fu analogy, right? Lenshon's looking away. The Kung Fu analogy, right? The cup is always half full. Right? If the cup is always full, then you can't put anything in the cup. You know, there's like a Bruce Lee movie. Right? He shows the guy looks at the cup and he hits him on the head. It's like, don't look at the cup, look at the stars. I mean, I'm just talking here. I love Kung Fu. Anyway, yeah, there's like if the cup's full, right? It's one of the three problems with the pot. If you know the Tibetan, the three problems with the pot, right? If the pot's full, you can't put anything in the pot. So the first thing we have to do is, you know, empty something out. So I like to approach logic that way. If you give somebody the money, it doesn't come from hard work, syllogism, and then maybe the pot empties out a little bit, and they want to put something new in there. Today I thought, let's do mental afflictions. So if I said, consider my jealousy, I will, overcome it, get rid of it. Maybe get rid of this better. I will get rid of it. Because what? I go to therapy. True or false?
You don't go through
Run a test. What's that?
You don't go through therapy.
What do you do?
No, you. I mean.
Me, personally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we'll cover that. So what's the first test?
1 and 3 related.
1 and 3 related. So what is it here?
Let's see. I and I, so it works.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, obviously there's a connection there. I'm talking about myself in both cases, so that's a connection. If somebody said, talk to group, I don't see the connection, what would you say next?
Switch to number 3.
Yeah, so when you go to follow up on the syllogism, what's step number 1? What happens to the subject?
Keep
It
it.
stays the same.
Yeah, it stays the same. Good.
Number 3 where number 2 is.
Yeah, then you take number 3 and move it up here. So then you would say, if they said talk with group, there's no connection between 1 and 3, then I would say, okay, great, consider my jealousy.
I'll go to therapy.
Yeah, I do go to therapy. And we discuss it. You know, because we discuss my jealousy in my therapy sessions. That would be really clear then, right?
So you can change to?
Oh, no. Did I change it?
Yeah, I'll get rid of
I
it.
said I do go to therapy.
No, get rid of it. I mean,
No, well, 3, so when
Just
you,
move
so
three up and then you change
yeah,
it.
number 1 stays the same, number 3 becomes the new number 2,
Mhm.
and then you put down a new number 3.
oh, okay.
That's the process.
Yeah.
So all we need is a new number 3. So then for number 3, I would say, What did I say? Because we discussed my jealousy. See, right then it makes the connection explicit. There is a connection between my jealousy and going to therapy, because when I go to therapy, I discuss my jealousy. See, now it's really explicit. You can't really. Is that okay? You get that? So consider my jealousy. I will get rid of it because I go to therapy. They say talking group. I don't see any connection between going to therapy and your jealousy. Okay, fine. Well, consider my jealousy. I go to therapy because in my therapy I discuss my jealousy. See? Make sense? Okay. What's test number 2? So then, assuming they accept that now, which I think anybody should, then what do we do next?
If 3 then 2.
Yeah, then we go to test number 2. So what's test number 2? If 3 then 2, so what's that here?
I go to therapy, so I must get rid of my jealousy.
Yeah. If I go to therapy, is it necessarily the case that I will get rid of my jealousy? Yeah. Unfortunately not. Lots of people go to therapy for years and years and years and years and never make any progress, right? Any honest therapist will tell you that. They can't really do anything for you. You know, they're trying to help you make some change in your own life, right? So then we'd have to say, so this syllogism is false. Okay? All right, what's test number 3? Just to, again, practice negation.
No, not 2, and
Yeah.
that's not 3.
Not 2, not 3. So if I don't get rid of my jealousy, does that mean I didn't go to therapy? No, right? How do we actually get rid of our jealousy?
Group it out of the mind.
Being happy for others.
The antidote.
Yeah, apply antidote. What's the ultimate antidote?
Well, you can help somebody else with their jealousy. Or
Well, I'm skipping ahead. What's the ultimate antidote?
Helping somebody else succeed.
Wisdom, right? See emptiness directly. Right? You see emptiness directly based on your perception of emptiness, right? Then you can eliminate your mental afflictions one by one, right? That's the definition of nirvana. Does that sound familiar to you? Or am I just making stuff up? Okay, just checking. Okay, all right. So let's say this one's not true. Then how do we make it true? What do you want to put in here? Mercedes, do you want to do it?
Consider my jealousy, I will get rid of it.
Yeah, because
Well, then I would say something about I'm on a path to nirvana.
you switched on me.
Well, all right. Consider my jealousy, I will get rid of it. Because I'm willing to look at it honestly.
You can do that one if you want.
Well, it's not just helping another. I mean, there's many ways you can
Let's
go at it.
let's just put it in there.
I'll plant the
Because
seed for it. I'll plant the seed, yeah.
I will. Well, you skip ahead again. I want to do this one first. Consider my jealousy. I'll get rid of it because I.
Something about emptiness. I'll meditate on the
I go to Starbucks.
Oh.
Have you heard that before? Or am I just making this up?
Oh,
Okay. All right. So true or false?
that's right.
Well, if it's the force, if you come with the force.
When did we retest? Yeah. So what's test number 1 here?
1 and 3 are related.
Yeah, if there's a relationship between 1 and 3. You see a relationship between 1 and 3?
I am
It's not
mine.
Not-
overt.
Yes,
It's not so overt, right?
explicit.
It's not so expressive. I mean, you probably get where I'm going,
Yeah.
so we could let it go. But just for our purposes, let's say they don't.
You
The
could follow
person
the path
you're.
of karma. Number 3.
So if they disagree, I would say consider my jealousy because I go to Starbucks and discuss and help somebody get rid of their
Yeah,
jealousy.
exactly.
Right.
Right. But what's the format? If I want to, they say I don't. See, it doesn't even. They're not even necessarily saying they don't agree with you. They're just saying I don't see it. I don't see the connection. Maybe they didn't hear that talk before, right? So they say talking group, but I don't get the connection, right? So then what do you do? What happens to number 1?
It's the same.
Yeah. Then what do you do?
3 for 2.
Yeah.
2's on hold. 3's 2.
three becomes the new number 2, and then we come up with a new number 3. Okay, so consider my jealousy. I go to Starbucks because, what did you say?
Helping others.
I discuss it with somebody else.
Well, I help them remove their jealousy or something.
Yeah. Let's say I discuss it with someone and help them. All right. What do you think about that? Is that okay? That makes the connection explicit, right?
Connection's okay.
Connection's okay, right? That's what I'm asking right now, yeah. So consider my jealousy. I go to Starbucks because I discuss it with some. Oh my God! I discuss it with someone, and that says help and help them. Is that okay? Does that pass the first test now?
Yeah.
The first
Yeah. When I
test,
say is that okay, what I mean is I should be more clear. Does it pass the first test? Okay. So pass the first test, then what do we do?
And go back to the first, so.
Yeah, go back to the first one, run the second test. And this is what they do in the monastery, and Tad kindly printed out a bit of the reading from course 13 for us. So hopefully we'll have time and we'll go over a little bit how to look at that stuff and make sense out of it. But this, you got to know this, because this is what they're going to do in here. Like I said, the reason why it's so hard to do the reading from 13 is because a lot of it's in code. And this is part of the code. So if you can't do this, then you can't do the reading for 13, at least the logic bits. Because this is what it's doing. It's doing this format. It's going to say, the guy says, if it says matakna, it means the guy said takadru. So what do we do next? We go to here. And then what do we do after that? We go back, run the next test. And that's what it's going to do in the reading. So we have to know this bit. Okay, so pass this test number 1 now. We go back, run test number 2. What's test number 2 here?
3 then 2.
Yeah, so what's it here?
I go to Starbucks, I must get rid of my jealousy.
Yeah, if I go to Starbucks, I must get rid and do this. Now this is understood, right? Then I must get rid of my jealousy. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we unpack
Partially.
the?
Yeah, now look at it. What do you think? Do you?
I don't buy it.
So yeah, give it to me. Why? Let's talk about it. I want to talk about it.
Because sometimes I go to Starbucks and I don't see the removal of my jealousy.
Okay, right. That's true, right? Of course, like we said yesterday, the first thing we always have to account for is what? Starts with a T.
Uh-huh.
Time?
Yeah. Time gap, right?
Oh.
First thing we always have to account for is the time gap. None of this instantaneous, right? And so, the metaphor that I always use, like on the DCI trips, is I love fresh juice. Right now, fresh grapefruit juice is like my favorite thing. It's the only thing I can't give away. If I
Isn't that wine?
yeah, no, it was it's a joke, but I remember one time I was at Venerable Phil's house and I was making orange juice. At the time, orange juice was my preferred juice of, my preferred weapon. And I was making orange juice, and I just finished squeezing the last orange, my last orange that I had, and I just squeezed the last one, and I've got my glass of orange juice, and Venerable Phil comes around the corner, and I start drinking it. If Venerable Phil comes into the kitchen, I'm gonna have to give it to him, I'm like, chug. Which is terrible, right? And then theoretically, I caught my mind, and then I gave some to Venerable Phil. Let's say that happened. Anyway, we always have to account for the time gap. So the analogy I always used to use is, say I squeeze my last orange, and then I want some more, right? I gave the last bit away to Venerable Phil, so now I need some orange juice. So what do I do, right? I take an orange seed out of the pulp, right, and I put it in the backyard, and I get some more oranges.
Huh?
Right? But we expect, and you say, oh, that's stupid, right? Of course, no, I looked at it one time, it takes 8 to 10 years for an orange tree to start giving oranges. And then,
Are you in a hurry?
what's that?
Are you in a hurry?
So,
Yeah, I need it sooner than that, right?
before Venerable Phil turns the corner.
Before I need oranges. So, but we go through our life and we do think that way. It's like, that's true. That is what we're doing. We're going in the backyard, putting an orange seed in the ground, and expecting oranges in that moment. Right? Anytime you do something and you expect something right away, that's what you're doing. Right? You're not accounting for the time gap. So then why do we have all these problems, right? Because we forget about the time gap. We do something for somebody, we expect them to be nice back to us, and they don't, right? And then we're like, damn it. It doesn't work. Why am I nice to people? It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Why give away money? I'm broke. Right? This is because we're just always forgetting this bit. So theoretically, if we're going to write out a correct syllogism, we have to work this in somewhere. So that we understand.
So why can't I write the time gap about the previous statement that was...
Yeah, so where do I put the time gap in here somewhere that makes sense, that
Into.
covers us?
In the assertion.
So I will get rid of it, eventually,
In time.
Or in time's okay. Or, you know, I get rid of it in my next life.
You'd have to say, in this life, the next, or anyone after that.
Yeah, this life, the next
Yeah.
life, or anyone after that. That's the traditional answer, you know, I mean, seriously. If you go to Tibet Lama and you say, if I help somebody else, when is my jealousy going to go away? They're going to say, this life, your next life, or lifetimes after that. So then what is Geshe Michael teaching all the time? Because is that going to work for you? Are you okay with that? Is that a workable solution?
Not really. We're instantaneous.
Yeah, we're a McDonald's culture. That's what Geshe Michael's always saying, right? We want our fries in 3 minutes or less, and if we don't get them, we're pissed. You know, we're calling the manager on our cell phone. It's like, what the hell? My fries took 3.5 minutes. I should get them for free. Right? So there's no way you're going to do this. Like, if we're honest with ourselves, right? There's no in hell you're going to do this if in the back of your mind you're thinking, 3 lifetimes from now, Bob is not going to have jealousy. Isn't that great? You know? Yeah, good luck to Bob, you know. I got problems right now I got to deal with. You know? Shut up. You know, that is what we're going to do, right? So what do we do now to get this working for us so that we'll actually do it?
Doesn't I will like suggest in time though itself? Because it doesn't say I.
You could say that. You could say that. That's a good, I mean, you know, if you're actually debating with people, right, then you can have fun with that. You can say, no, of course I implied this because I said this. And that's when you're having fun with your friends, you know, you can do that.
Doesn't this get tricky on the third test though?
How so?
Because like, maybe it's just the specific of Starbucks. It seems like, you know, do the Starbucks thing works, but like, because if you didn't get rid of your jealousy, then that would mean that if the syllogism is true, then that would mean that you didn't go to Starbucks. But
oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, you could not go to Starbucks and do this bit.
yeah,
You know, you could help somebody else and plant a seed and fix your jealousy and never step foot in a Starbucks. Just go to Mr. Bean instead. Or, you know, I'm kidding, anywhere, right? But yeah, again, like that's kind of why we did this step, you know, I mean, this go to Starbucks is not literal.
okay.
You know, it's figurative, right? So you know, I'm implying that we're doing what? The 4?
Karma Marga, yeah.
Yeah, the four steps. Right. So that's how we slightly improve. Anyway, that's our argument, right? That's what DCI's purpose is, right? If you do the 4 steps, then this doesn't have to be lifetimes after next. Right? That's our assertion anyway. But I got another thing that bugs me a little bit about this, just to be totally honest. Somebody came up to the Buddha one time and said, "What do you teach?" Does anybody know what he said? I teach 2 things.
What to take up and what to give up.
Yeah, I teach 2 things, what to take up and what to give up. So what have we expressed here?
What to
Which one?
take up.
What to take up, right? So, for my money, we're missing half. What should go along with this?
What to
I
give
have to do the 4 steps, right? That's what to take up. And what do I give up?
Well, isn't it sort of the same thing because what you take up is diametrically opposed? So there's
Is
not
it?
room. Is it not?
Is it not? You do have them monasteries. It's not true. It's not true. Is it not true then? Does anybody know how you're supposed to do that? It's in Ken Berger's book, The Easy Solution to That. If somebody comes to you and gives you a syllogism and says that is not true, what do you do? Do you know? Really, it's a little tip. You just add them up, right? It's math.
Yeah.
You just add them up. So if somebody says not, then it's what? Yeah, it's positive.
Even.
So then if they say not, it's
Negative.
negative, right? So you just add them up. And if it's odd, it's negative. If it's even, it's
So
positive.
it's base 2, and then if it's 1, it's negative. If it's 0.
Yeah. But I recommend that because you can totally do that on the debate ground. When you're debating with somebody, you can say, is that not true? And they should be able to handle that. And again, it's good because that forces us to think in terms of
Negatives.
negatives. And why is that good?
Emptiness.
Yeah, because it prepares your mind to see emptiness. Yeah, cool. Okay,
Wait,
that was
you
the
would-
sidetrack. So yeah, so what do I give up?
Ignorance?
I would say what the syllogism was trying to prove, which is, what we did first, for example, most people think I go to therapy, and thinking in that mode, we act in the world and not get rid of jealousy, but we think we're actually falsely engaging with jealousy. So
Yeah,
we
it
give
makes you
up,
better, you know, or something. Then yeah.
we give up the ignorant mode of addressing jealousy. I'm guessing based.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
So again, just a basic sort of DCI tenet, just to, you know, because it was our thing for such a long time. To go back to the seed analogy, say I got a little flower box, you know, and I want to grow a flower, because I like to look at flowers. And I live in New York, and my view is terrible. So, all right, I put a little flower box outside the window, I try to grow some flowers. What do I need to grow a flower in my flower box?
Soil.
I need soil, that's one thing. What else?
Seed.
I need seed,
Sunlight.
I need sunlight,
Water.
I mean, depending on the plant, I need water. What else?
No birds picking at it and eating it.
Now,
Yeah,
yeah,
weeds.
now you're thinking. Right now, I need to shoot all the birds that come near me.
You need to be the potter to plant it yourself.
Yeah, you've got to do it. You've got to, you know, study about seeds and whatever. But what if I want to plant my seed and my flower box is full of weeds, right? My flower box is full of nasty weeds that are pollen, and the neighbors get pissed because then their allergies go crazy and they want to. I get a nasty letter in the mail, right? Did that ever happen to you, or am I just making this up? That happened to us one time. So the first thing you have to do, I would say, with your flower box is what? Weed it. Pull out the weeds. So now translate that into Tibetan Buddhism.
Purification.
Yeah, which is called the four
Power.
powers. Right? Because I would argue, if you're going to Starbucks, that's great. Helping somebody with jealousy, that sounds good. But you're actually still totally engaging in jealousy the other 23 hours of the day. Is it going to work or not?
Not as well.
Not so good. Not so good. And I should say that too about my first story, right? So I should go back and talk about that too. If we do consider money, I'm going to get lots of it because I give it away, you know, in time with the 4 steps. What's my thing that's going to also block me there?
Stealing.
Stealing. Right? If you steal and then you give away money, it's not going to work.
So Robin
Right.
didn't have good karma.
Robin Hood's, it's not going to work out.
Serious question.
And it usually doesn't.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite subjects to talk about. So we're all Buddhists, right? Do we steal money?
We do it all the time.
Yeah, how?
Facebook at work.
Yeah.
Stealing economy.
Yeah, good. We're all Buddhists, right? So we know we're not supposed to steal, so we don't steal money. We might spend a lot of time on Facebook at work, or we might borrow money and not pay it back.
Or we might like hold on to $5 at a Dharma teaching because we want a coffee later.
Sure. Or we might, you know, in some, well, the date, yeah, good. Because you might used to talk about it a lot when we started Diamond Mountain. Because theoretically, everything at Diamond Mountain is property of Diamond Mountain. So if you, for example, break the faucet at Diamond Mountain and then run away, then what did you do?
Cost.
You stole from the
You saw from under. Or
Sangha.
Diamond.
Sangha. You stole from the Sangha, right? So if you're in the kitchen, you break a dish and you're like, oh, that's too bad, and you walk away and don't do anything about it, who did you steal from? You stole from your Dharma brothers and sisters. So you have to have some awareness of that. So 3 jewels is the same, right? We come in here and we trash the place or break stuff or whatever, then that's a heavy karma. You know, we need to think about that. So anyway, so I would want to put something in here too about that. You know, consider my jealousy, I'll get rid of it because I go to Starbucks and I'm doing the 4 powers. You know, I'm doing something to pull out all my habitual seeds of being jealous. You know, like Geshe Michael was sort of talking about when he was here.
So you'd add it to the reason.
Yeah. I'd say it's called a split reason. You kind of need 2 things in here. I will do this positively and I will avoid this negatively. I will take up this and I will give up that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would argue. Cool?
That's nice.
Makes sense?
And is that the case in every cause and effect one that you would?
Yeah, I would say so. I try to think about this a lot. I think this is really important.
And when we talk about the four powers, we're just talking about the four attributes of karma. So it's like
No, let's do it real fast, yeah. Otherwise I'm bad. We should make sure that we all are on the same page. So Geshe Michael calls them the 4 fours. What are the 4 fours?
How karma ripens, how to speed up karma, how to purify karma, and purify karma is how to remove it.
That much fun anyway. Erase it. I'm keeping. Oh no, I didn't. I erased it. Damn. It's because I was keeping the cat though. All right, the 4 fours. Give me one. What's the first one?
4 laws.
Yeah, 4 laws is good. Usually do 4 steps first. That's fine. All right, we did it before. What's the first one?
Like produces like, or
Yeah, similar. Thanks, Rob. What's number 2?
grows.
Yeah, it increases. Small seeds get big results.
Yeah, you do it, you get it. You don't do it, you don't get it.
Yeah. Do, get, and
Don't get. Don't
won't.
do it.
Okay, are we cool with that?
Yeah.
Anybody want to ask about anything like that? All right, what's another one?
4 ways it ripens.
Yeah. Geshe Michael now calls it the 4 flowers, like the 4 results. So what's the first result of any karmic seed that you plant?
Similar to its.
Yeah, again, similar. If you give away money, you're probably going to get money or something similar. If you yell at people, somebody's probably going to yell at you. Right? What's number 2?
You get the hat.
Is that number 2? I think that's number 2.
Well,
Yeah.
you changed it
It's
sometimes.
environmental, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, we'll say habit. So anything you do, you just planted a seed to do it again. Could be positive, could be negative. So you give away money, you planted a seed, the next time somebody is there an opportunity to give away money, you're going to be more inclined to do it. The stingier you get then, the less inclined you are the next time to give away money. What's number 3? So you said it.
The environmental.
Environmental.
Can you explain why he calls it the 4 flowers? Because it's the way it flowers, right? Okay. Is that
Yeah.
right? Thank you for answering my
Yes!
question.
So what's environmental?
Now the people in the world around you, the stuff around you.
Reflect the karma that you've committed.
Yeah, your world is just a reflection of how you treat other people in the past.
Yeah.
So usually that's kind of obvious. You know, like if I'm an angry person, I'll see the world as full of angry people. If I'm Michael Wick, I see the world as full of good people. Right? He's not here. That's where he sat the other day. Gesturing to the invisible Michael Wick. What's number 4? This is the one we always try to skip.
The one that there's stuff left over, right? So there's
It's the one you don't want to talk to business people about because they don't accept.
future lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by leftover after you cook it.
Okay. My bad. I'm going to call it that's projecting or throwing karma. Geshe Michael calls it sometimes.
That stuff.
No.
What does that mean?
That means if you do something with the 4 steps, you plant a karmic path which can produce your future life. So, what are the 4 steps?
You get clear about what you want.
Yeah.
Find somebody.
What you want. Yeah, number 2, we usually call make a plan, which means find
Find
somebody.
someone and work it out.
Number 3,
Do it.
do it.
Rejoice.
I call it Nike. Number 4, yeah, rejoice, coffee meditation. Okay. So, if, now what are the real 4 steps?
She's
She's on the door too.
Yeah.
What's the number, what's she mean?
Object.
Yeah, that's good.
Basis.
Foundation, I
Basis.
think, but, yeah, basis, object, foundation. The thing you do your karmic activity towards. If you do your karmic activity towards your Lama, it's more powerful. If you do it towards a random person, slightly less powerful. unless you see that person as your llama. That's a great thing to debate. What's number 2?
Intention.
Sampa? Yeah, basically intention. What's your motivation? What's number 3? Same. Throw us, do it. What's number 4? Tartuk means. Does anybody know? Literally.
Right here, I can't see.
What is this list?
It's
Complete.
Wisdom?
What are we doing right now?
No, I mean, what exactly is this?
Yeah, this is the 4 steps. So I'm doing the, guess you might call them the 4-4. So these are 4 sets of 4 things because we're Galupas and we love lists. So that we love lists. We can't go to sleep at night if we don't get a new list. So what
They're all about karma.
what we teach, these are the 4 sets of 4 things that you need to know to be successful planting karma seeds. Okay. So this particular one is the 4th step. So Geshe Michael teaches this version of it nowadays. Think about what you want, find somebody to help, do it, do coffee meditation. But he's adapting that from what actually comes from the Abhidharma Kosha, which is the 4 ways to plant a karmic path. And the reason why they study the 4 ways to plant a karmic path is, if you create a karmic path, that seed is strong enough now to project you into your next life. That's why it comes up in the Abhidharma. So, if you, for example, anyway, Tartuk means like to finish. So it's like completing karma. But then again, basically, that means rejoice.
Now what's the check?
The check is a Nike swoosh.
So do you think Geshe Michael did the rejoice because as you're rejoicing, you're thinking you're completing it? It's like it's done. I'm done with it, so I'm happy about it.
So here, the reason why we did this one, talk about this one. So, for example, if you get mad towards your llama and you get really angry at them and you want to hurt them and you do something to hurt them and then afterwards you're like, I got them. You know, thank God, like it works that I got them, right? Then you planted a complete karmic path and now you will go to hell. Alright, conversely, if you think, oh look, here's somebody who really could use some money right now, they have nobody who's helping them, I will help them. And then you think, my intention is to save the whole world. And so you give them some money, and then at night you do your coffee meditation, and then you just planted a seed to go to the higher realms.
And is coffee meditation just reflection upon one's...
Yeah, coffee meditation is Geshe Michael's story for his lama made him one time do a meditation, and he was really tired and he couldn't actually meditate, so he gave him some coffee and he said meditate. And what it meant was, what is anybody know the Tibetan word for meditation?
Gom.
Gom, right? What does Gom come from? Anybody know the root? Calm, right? What does calm mean?
Get used to something.
Yeah, to get used to something, to habituate yourself to something, right? So meditation really means habituating your mind to some object. So if you make it, habituate your mind to always being happy about the good things that you do, then that's rejoicing, right? And we can do that all the time. You can do it on the subway, you can do it when you're at home, you can do it when you're tired, you can do it when you're sitting, it doesn't matter. Like we should just be doing that all the time, I think, as much as we possibly can. Okay, so then what's the last of the 4 forms?
Purification.
Yeah, 4 powers. What's the 4 powers?
Regret.
Yeah, well,
Refuge.
yeah, number 1. Yeah, if you're an FPMT person, if you ever study with any Lama Soka, Lama Yeshe people, they say refuge because they want to use 4 R's, right? They call them 4 R's. We usually say foundation. Michael usually does foundation. So what does that mean?
You think of karma and emptiness, you understand. You use it as a foundation to push yourself in.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect, right? It's like you plant a bad seed, it's like you fell down. So now you want to stand up, so you're going to stand up on it. The only thing you can stand up on is your correct knowledge of where things actually come from. Does that make sense? Okay, what's number 2?
Then you,
Yeah, now we're regret. So does that mean we're bad people?
only in Catholicism. And Judaism. So.
Yeah, some religions yeah, regret is different from guilt. We don't want guilt. Guilt is bad. How do you know the difference?
Wisdom, yeah. You
One affects
intelligently
yourself and one affects others.
That's cool. That's good. I never heard that before. I like that. The way I usually explain it is I say one is active. Which one is active?
Regret energizes me to do something about it.
Yeah, regret says, I did something bad. I'm going to do something different now. I'm going to help somebody. Then what does guilt say?
I'm bad. I'm stuck. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm going to cry.
I'm a bad person. I can't help anybody. I'm terrible. right? So there's no purpose to that. That doesn't help anybody, doesn't help you, doesn't get rid of your bad seeds. So guilt is totally useless, don't do it.
Now I feel guilty.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Preparation?
But stop doing it. The restraint.
Yeah.
Restraint.
Yeah, if you want the FBMTRs, then we say restraint. I think that Fishy Michael says that too, right? I think that's okay.
Mhm.
And then what's the last one?
The antidote, the opposite.
Preparation.
Yeah, we call Fishy Michael calls it the makeup activity. What do they call an FBMT? Anybody
I
know?
think it's reparation.
Oh no, yeah, reparation, or I remember the one I got was remedial action. Pretty impressive. Remedial action. Somebody thought about that one.
Guidance counselors.
You went to remedial school. Yeah, so and then which one's the most important one? Which one actually does the seed
Just stop
pulling?
doing it. The restraint.
Yeah, this is the most important one. And then, so then we make promise to never do it again, right?
Depend for a reasonable amount of time.
Manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm never gonna yell at anyone ever again. Then what did I just do?
You yelled at yourself.
You created a negative karma
How?
by
Lie.
saying
I just
never.
told a lie, yeah. So I put in a lie on top of everything else. So, yeah, so then, yeah, they say in the books you're supposed to pick a acceptable amount of time. You know, the other thing I used to do, Geshe Michael wants to make a joke out of it and say, okay, for the next 10 seconds, I won't think anything bad about anybody. Man, that guy's pissing me off. You know, because you're not really in control of your mind, right? Everything you think is also just coming from a seed. So usually when I make in my mind what my remedial action is going to be, what my restraint is going to be, I say I will try not to do that thing for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Because, yeah, we're not in control in the moment. Anything could happen in the moment. So anyway, I do it that way.
Nyingpo,
So-
But I just made that up, so.
I mean, I've heard it's restraint that is the one that really sets it, but it always seems like it should be regret. Because regret sets the motion that you realize that you did something negative.
Well, you wouldn't restrain if you didn't.
One seems internal and one seems external. Like regret might exist in your mind, but you could still do it again. Like I'm thinking of so many examples of me like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and then I do it again. Oh, I should have done that, and then I do it again.
I like that.
You know, it's like, okay, so just stop. And then once you try to stop.
But if
So
karma
why do
is a
you
movement
think
of the mind, regret is the thing that
drives
changes
it.
the direction.
Yeah, yeah. But unfortunately, right, why do we have to do things? Even though it's only, like I can just sit here, right, and meditate happy thoughts and sending things to people in my imagination. Is that going to be really effective? It could be, right, but I would argue probably that it won't be.
Doesn't let
And-
others witness it.
Well, my idea behind why I think that is true is because we believe in stuff. I mean, our lives are wrapped around stuff, and we really believe in stuff. You know, I can sit here and tell you all day long this thing is empty, and you're like, yeah, sure, it's empty. And if it's your favorite thing, and I try to walk out with it, what are you going to do?
Go out to
Drink the glass.
Right, exactly. So we really believe in stuff. So unfortunately, I think until we overcome that, which I think will probably happen around, path 5. When we stop at level 9. Until that time, I think unfortunately we need to do things because otherwise the seeds we plant in our mind are not really going to be very powerful. So I think it's something like that. You might be right. In the end, for a Buddha, what's more important? Well, they don't need to do it anyway, but it might be that 2 would be more important or something. It's possible. I don't know. It's worth thinking about. Okay, cool. Happy? Okay, all right, let's do some class. Because actually the reason why I thought it's fun to spend time on that stuff, because I think that's really what's important anyway, is can you do this and think about this and know that stuff and actually do it in your life. That's what really matters. But a lot of what I want to do now is just kind of errata stuff that I skipped over by accident from some of the classes. So the first thing is Rongrit. Does anybody know what Rongrit is?
Self-perception.
His Mercedes' favorite thing. She loves Rongrit.
What is it?
Self-perception of the mind.
Yeah. Rick, is, yes, so, what does that mean? Mind-only school says, right, that the most important thing is mental things. Mental things are more important because everything you're seeing is just a mental projection, right? You're not really seeing the real world. The world you experience is just your mind playing tricks on you. So then, what's real? Mental things are real. Okay, well how do you know? Because the mind can see itself. That's kind of basically where it comes from. If they want to say the mind is the only thing that is real, then Prasangika says, well, can the mind see itself? Like, for example, can the eyeball see itself? This is Arya Nagarjuna. It's like, I love this stuff. Hopefully, Tad wants to do it, we'll do it sometime. How do you know the eyeball is empty? One of Arya Nagarjuna's proofs that the eyeball is empty is, how do you find the eye? The organ that sees. Okay, great. So the eye can see things, like itself. No, the eye can't see itself. And then, can the eye see what's behind you? Can the eye see what's behind the tongue? Well, wait a minute, we defined eye as the thing that sees, right? But then, of course, the more you investigate, the more you realize the eye actually can't see anything. It needs a seed, right? If there isn't a seed providing the eye the capacity to be able to see, then the eye can't see anything at all. If we just turn off the lights, what's your eye doing? Turn the lights back on, right? The eye doesn't really have that power to do anything, right? It depends on having the seed, right?
It's cool. The reason that your pupils are black is not because they're like actually black. It's because there's an absence of stuff there. It's like a hole.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. It's actually empty of stuff.
It's empty of things.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everything you see in the dream are not through the eye, but you still see.
Yeah.
It's funny because I would swap eye with eye.
What's that?
That I was thinking when you were saying I with I. Me. Yeah.
I with
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. Right. So anyway, so we would use the same argument on these people. We'd say, so the mind is the ultimate thing because it can perceive itself, and we'd say, so what does that look like? How can the mind perceive itself? And all Buddhist schools accept as true, and again, so that we should investigate that at some point. But all Buddhist schools accept that the mind can only hold one object at a time, and it's only possible for the mind to be thinking about, and that all comes from meditation, right? What's the purpose of meditation? To put the mind on one object and keep it there, right? So it's a truism in Buddhism that the mind can only hold one object at a time. So what Prasangika says is wrong, Rick, is not possible, because for the mind to be seeing itself would be looking at two things. And so then Prasangika rejects this. And that's all you really need to know about it.
Would that be looking at two things, or would that be the mind being both the subject and the object?
Well, that would be two things, right? That's a good way to look at it.
But if you say in the sentence, like if you say the mind is looking at two things, you're pluralizing the object. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, yeah. See, it is possible for the mind to look at itself.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
That's what you do when you're meditating, right? Mahamudra, for example, the mind is looking at itself. That's okay. But can the mind be aware of itself looking at itself? That's what Ron Rick would need. Self-apperception is saying the mind is aware of itself looking at itself.
Okay, so the subject is using the subject as an object and the object as an object.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a homework question again. That's so if anybody ever brings it up in a class or something, it's not a super important idea.
Is it possible to give a quick synopsis of the proof of why the mind can only hold one object at a time? Or would that take us way off?
Good question.
That's a super good question. I don't know. I have to think about. Let me think about it a little bit because I haven't actually seen anything in a text on that. Like I said, they just kind of accept it as a truism, so I don't know. Like I can think of something right now. Like a little bit the one or many debate we had yesterday. To see two objects would require two minds. Like simply. You'd have to be able to split your mind somehow.
Does that mean that the Buddha has no mind, or their mind cannot see all things at once?
Well, then that's the one or many thing again, right? Then you always have to reinvestigate that now understanding emptiness. So what we would say, the easy out, again, is to say the Buddha does only have one thing in their mind. It's what is that one thing? All existing things.
Yeah, it's the pot tea.
They're holding in their mind one thing, it just happens to be everything that exists.
It's pot tea.
So you erased all the other part of the list.
Yeah, the rest of the
There's no categorizing any other. Oh, no,
But
there's
under that
nothing.
theory, then, because it's empty, they can see, because it's neither one nor many, right? Then they can see, so it kind of cancels out all the one
Well-
things you could see.
Wait, why is it neither one?
Well, I don't, let's come back to it if we have time. I don't want to do one or many again. We did it yesterday, watch the tape.
The tape. We have it on cassette tape, on VHS, and
Yeah, David myself,
C7A.
didn't I? The kids are even doing it. I'm 40, I'm old. Yeah, so anyway, there's a homework question. I don't want to get too off the subject right now. There's a homework question that's going to say, what are the two kind, if we go back to our chart, our useless chart again, another way to split mental is valid or invalid is you can say there's two things that the mind, well, okay, oh gosh. So there's a couple. You can split it into valid and invalid perceptions. You can split it into mind and mental functions. And then we talked about yesterday, there's in Saltrontica, there's 51 mental functions. So you can split into that, or you can split it into, in the mind-only school, you can split it into Wrong-Rick and Shenrik. Does anyone know what Shen means in Tibetan?
Other.
Other, yeah. So wrong is self and Shen is other. So they say you can also divide this into self-perception, self-perception, and other perceptions.
Yeah.
And then that's just a homework question in another category, and then you can think about it and look at this and does this help me understand anything else about my chart, make connections? Like we said, that's the purpose of categorizing everything.
Does that have anything to do with valid and invalid, or is that just a completely different?
Well, that would be the question, right? See, now that's exactly what you would debate. You say, well, wait a minute. Before we split mental into valid and invalid, so what does that have to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
And then think about it. And then that's how we learn stuff and things. That's how we know stuff. Okay, and we help people. Oh yeah, that was my other thing that I skipped. Mind and I erased it already, but I should put it back real fast. And then the other way they sometimes split up mental things is mind and mental functions. So then that's something that's good to think about too. What is that? Here this basically means like raw awareness. So what the hell does that mean? And then how does that, for example, relate to valid and invalid perception or perceiving other things or subject and object and all that stuff?
What's that say? Mind and
Mind and mental function.
mental function.
Okay, so that covers class 5.
What falls under mental
Class
function?
5 is all done. There's 51. I meant to ask you to bring that book. There's a list of them in the Lati Rinpoche book, if you want to see the list. There's 21 mental afflictions, 5 virtuous states of mind, unfortunately. Then there's these things they call cooperating mental functions. So like, for example, yesterday we talked about discrimination. So discrimination always has to be working in your mind. Like we said, to separate anything, you have to have discrimination present in your mind. So there's 5 of those. And then, how many am I up to? I'm in the 30s somewhere. And there's some more.
6 root destructive emotions, 11 virtuous states of mind, 5 objective determining factors, 5 ever present factors.
You're going to make me caution you about that book now. It's true, it's a very scholarly book, and the translations are kind of bizarre sometimes. Like I was talking, did I talk about it in the first class? Or I was just talking with you about it. She translates in the Lati Rinpoche book, I think it's Elizabeth Napper, she translates valid perception is prime cognizer.
We spoke about this in the second class.
Okay. Valid perception, she says, is prime cognizer. So why does she translate valid perception as prime cognizer?
Because she's in the school that the first moment is valid.
Yeah, good. Saltonica says the first moment you see the pen is the only correct moment that you see the pen. Every moment after that you see the pen, you do what to it?
You have feelings
Elaborate.
about it.
Yeah, you add on conceptualizations.
Your storytelling.
Yeah, you're making up things about the pen. So then they say that's not real. So in that particular school, a valid perception, the only time you ever have a valid perception is the first instant that you see something. So then she chose to translate valid perception as prime cognizer. Prime meaning first moment of cognition. But the problem that I noticed is that later she starts to talk about Madhyamika, Prasangika view of valid perception. And when she does that, then that translation makes absolutely no sense. Which I think is a problem. But anyway, I don't know anything. I don't have a PhD.
What's the name of the book? Sorry.
Do you know? It's Latruberger and Elizabeth Napper.
I know, I can send it to you.
And
Yeah, can-
it's called Mind and something, I think. But there's a lot of the thing. I think for me, the saving grace of that book, it's useful. For me, because she mostly, and this is the great thing about academic books, they put the Tibetan in there. So when you put the Tibetan in there, then I can read the Tibetan. You know, I'm like, what the hell is a prime cognizer? And then I look, she has the Tibetan in the back, and I'm like, Tsema, she's translating Tsema as prime cognizer, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I'm like, oh, I get it. Because she's doing it from a Sautronic text.
Is that like a root? It's not trying to
What's
What
that?
school? What school is Lama Marut from? Lama Marut? Do you know? What,
Yeah.
in what school is he?
Sorry, let me just
He's probably watching right now.
Yeah,
I should just say that.
I advertised him in the back of my book.
True.
Well, I mean, it depends. You know, you can do the same thing with the Dalai Lama. I know you can say, what school is the Dalai Lama teaching? Well, whatever school he's talking about at that particular time. You know, the Dalai Lama a lot of times, like I said yesterday, he'll tell you things that are kind of not true because he might be coming from one particular school or the other. Especially, for example, if he's talking to scientists all the time, he's going to use a lot of stuff from Abhidharma. So technically, that's not technically some of it correct, but it's going to apply to the subject he's talking about, so he's going to use it. You know, and I should say, I think that messes people up a lot. You know, like I had a guy come to me one time at Diamond Mountain, and he was like, no. You know, of course Rongrek is true. And I'm like, well, who taught you about Rongrek? And he's like, he said, you know, some big giant Tibetan Geshe Latruberger or something. He's like, well, I asked Latruberger, and he said Rongrek is correct. And I'm like, oh, well, what was he teaching at the time? Oh, he was teaching about the mind-only school. Okay. Yeah, he's going to tell you that. If you know, Geshe Michael talks about all the time in the Chang'e class. Geshe Rinchen makes a big point out of when you teach from a particular school. He says you put that hat on. Like from the Tibetan methods, when they teach you Sautrantika, they don't tell you Sautrantika is not the highest school. They teach you Sautrantika, and then later you work it out for yourself that some of the things you learned back when you were 13 weren't exactly true. Right? So it just totally depends. And I know I hear all these like rumors about different lamas are not teaching Prasangika anymore, and you have to be really careful because we were taught at the beginning. For example, if you teach somebody emptiness, everything's coming from you, and they freak out, what are you supposed to do?
Drop down.
You're supposed to drop down. You drop down to one of the lower schools because you break a bodhisattva vow if you teach emptiness to somebody and freak them out. You're not allowed to do that. So any lama in this tradition, if they're teaching emptiness and they see people freak out, they're going to drop it down to one of the lower schools. So, like, you know, Winston would do that all the time. He would teach emptiness, somebody would freak out. Like, I was in there. We were in the Lama's yurt, actually, at Diamond Mountain, and we were doing course 17, I think it was, or course 16. And we had this guy that was a nurse in the class, and he's a trauma nurse. So every day he goes to work and he watches people die. So we're like, everything's coming from you. And he's like, wait a minute. So every time I go to work, and he's like just the week before I've been talking to him, and we live in Arizona, right? So there's this van of Mexicans was trying to get across the border, and the Border Patrol chased them, and the van flipped over. So he gets on the helicopter, and they fly the helicopter out, right, to save as many people as they can. So he's the first guy off the helicopter there. He's like, people are crushed, and arms are chopped off, and legs, and like it's just like a battlefield, you know, because the van was packed full of Mexicans, and it rolled. And some were thrown out, some were crushed, they were, you know, like he gets there and it's like a war zone, you know, and he's like, so that came from me. No, No, what we're saying is that how you feel about that is coming from you. Or how you deal with that situation is coming from you. You could see it as something really bad, and it is, or you could see it something as, well, now you have a chance to help people, and you have a chance to plant a lot of good seeds. So what did I just do right there? I dropped down to 3 and 5.
Oh my God, that would be
Right?
so happy.
So you have to be able to do that. So anyway, so what school's on route teaching? I don't know. It could be 1 through 6. Anywhere. Whichever one he thought was appropriate to his students at that time, that was probably the one he was teaching. Okay. Oh, then Aaron asked me about the definition yesterday about direct vowel perception. So the definition of direct vowel perception is a fresh and unknown perception that is free of conceptualization and unmistaken. And I kind of tried to argue that you could drop off the fresh bit.
Sorry.
Well, you should have it from yesterday.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sargumulu Sheva, Kanchi, Tokyo, Machu Sheva. So fresh and unerring is the definition of vowel perception. Then direct is free of conceptualization and unmistaken, right? And I was saying, look, you don't really need to say fresh, because fresh is Altrontica saying memory shouldn't be vowel perception. But then when you study Madhyamika later, it's okay that we say Madhyamika says that memories are vowel perceptions. So then I was like, well, so then if you want, you could drop fresh off, or you could leave it on. It was a conversation that we had yesterday. Anyway, technically you don't need it in the definition. Unless it means something else to Madhyamika that nobody's told me yet, which is possible. So then Aaron asked, what about free of conceptualization? Could we drop that off? Because basically that's the same thing. So Altrontic is saying, right, as soon as you put your concepts on the pen, right, you're no longer seeing the real pen. Is that true? No, that's a lower school idea, right? The same thing. Everything you project on the pen is real. Why? Because you project it as real. So is this if I hate pens, like I fell on a pen when I was a kid, it like stabbed me in the neck, and now I have trauma every time I see a pen, I freak out, right? Are pens bad for me?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they are. They freak me out. I don't like them, right? That's real. It's totally real. Why? Because I'm projecting it as a real experience, you know? So then can I drop free of conceptualization off of my definition of direct? No. Yes. I think in the same way. No, I think here what will be really important is how you define conceptualization. You know, that's what will be the gauge there. Because Prasangika would say everything involves conceptualization, right? Because that's our relationship, a Chi-Chedrock relationship, right? What's the relationship between pen and pen? Well, you can't see pen without pen, right? That's part of our definition of dependent origination. You see parts, you see shape and color, and your mind says, that thing's a pen. And that makes it a pen, right? So you have to involve conceptualization to see anything. So to say a direct perception is free of conceptualization, that's almost exactly wrong. You have to have a conceptualization going on.
So it's like saying seeing a pen without karma.
Well, it's saying seeing a pen without a mental image.
Okay.
Yeah. But you could somehow see pen without mental image pen. I think Madhyamika Prasangika would say that's impossible.
Because you wouldn't see it as a pen. So then that
Because that's how you see pen.
The only way you see
The
pen.
only way you ever saw pen.
Otherwise you'd see dog or something.
So you are dropping free of conceptualization.
I did, yes.
Don't
quote me.
Unmistakable.
You have to think about it.
I thought you had to think.
You have to think about it. Okay.
You.
Alright, and then we do one more thing real fast and we'll take a break. Basically, class 9 comes down to one question. So we'll just do it real fast. Shensel in Tibetan means exclusion. So exclusion is just another subject they study when they study logic. So kind of what we did was we went through the different logic subjects that they study at the monastery. They study cause and effect, and they study, what was another one? Subject and object, valid perception. These are just little sections of the Dura text that you study when you're at the monastery. So another one that you cover is exclusion. So if we study a subject, then what do we need? That's true, but not where I was going.
Definition?
That's good. You're closer. What else? If we're Galupas and we're studying a new subject, what do we need? We need a list. Alright, so here's your list. So you can go to sleep at night feeling satisfied. 3 kinds of exclusion. And the first one is the classic psychotic one. They're in love with this idea. Just think about it. It's not true. The opposite of something, everything is not.
What?
Psychotic says when you see something, how do you arrive at the conclusion of what something is?
I would say process of elimination.
Yeah, you eliminate everything the thing is not. So your mind has a giant Rolodex of all existing objects that you're aware of, and you look at something, and it goes, not giraffe, not elephant, not penguin. I don't know why I'm supposed about animals right now, but not cell phone, not laptop, not chair, and it just keeps going until it hits pen, and then it's like, yeah, okay, that thing's a pen. So they say that's how your mind ever sees anything. Always sees things. It's doing that. It's constantly zipping through everything that something is not. So that's number 1. Number 2, they say is the mental concept of a thing. So like pen. So example of this would be pen. Example of this would be pen. So why would they say that? Why is the mental concept of pen an exclusion?
Excludes everything else that's not pen.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Your concept of what a pen is includes not giraffe, not zebra, not cell phone, not laptop.
So it's like a shortcut.
Well, it's very similar to facts. You know, like what's the relationship of a fact with a mental concept? Right? We talked about every fact actually includes much more negative information than it includes positive information. So it's the same thing. And then number 3 is the exclusion of an absence. So what did they do? Where did this list come from again? You got it yesterday.
Yeah, physical, mental, neither.
Yeah. They did the same thing. They took a list of changing things, and they said, okay, let's divide apt exclusions into the 3 kinds of changing things. What does a physical exclusion look like? What does a mental exclusion look like? And what does the exclusion of something which is neither look like? That's, I think, basically what they did. So, for example, space. You know, space is an absence, right? So, what does space exclude? Obstruction. That's it. Okay. Any questions about that? What does it all mean? I don't know. Can't think about it.
How does it say how they're coming to these conclusions? Like, did someone from your school have some realization and see the mind slow down and go through this process? Like, why are they coming up with this?
No, maybe, but I think they're just using their list. You know, like I said, my general argument, right, is we categorize things because it teaches us something about the thing that we didn't know before. So the more categories of something we can create, theoretically, the more information we can collect. That's it. So how do we make an easy categorization of this? Well, let's use the thing we're already using. You know? And then the purpose would be, if you think about these categories, how are these 2 the same? How are they different? How are these 2 the same? How are they different? How is this category of stuff different from facts? Then you're just collecting more information. And so the next thing they would do, so what you do at the monastery is I would give you this list. You would go to the debate ground. And they would say, there's no such thing that's a mental concept, which is also a fact. And the guy would go, whoa, I didn't say that. And then you would debate it. Like, is it true or is it not true? Are there similarities or not? Is it Mushi? Is it Musun? Are they Gewa? Are they Gunchik? I don't know. Have to debate it. But then after they've done that, then they can run circles around us. Because they know lots of things that we don't know, and that we'll never know because we never took the time to do that. Unfortunately, most of us. Okay, cool, take a break real fast and we'll do something fun again.
So we're back here at?
Well, like 5 or 10 minutes, so 20 after-ish.